Hello and welcome to another session of IELTS Booster. In today's mini lesson, we are going to work on another type of gap fill test for the listening module of the IELTS exam. So, as you might already know, we've already worked on note completion and some strategies and techniques of how to approach such questions. And in today's session, we're going to work on another type. So what do you think the other type is? Flowchart! You've got it, which is a very common type of exam in IELTS and in other proficiency courses. So let's go and take a look at the table of contents and we'll be back.
Okay, so let's take a look at the slides. Listening skill, mini lesson 5, gap fill part 3. And as I said earlier, we're going to work on flowchart. So let's take a look at the table of let's take a look at the table of contents. What we have for today. What are the best practices for gap fill tests? Part 3. And we're going to work on flowchart. And okay,
so for the flowchart, like other gap fills, we've got two checklists at the very beginning. Does it have a blank or it doesn't have a blank? So the example that we're going to work on does not have a blank. So, and it makes no difference. So if there is a blank, you'll read the blank. I mean, those words that you're going to use for the gap fill, or if there's no, you're going to use those 3 filters that we talked about. But what is the first step again? Reading the questions. Let's say if there is no blank, you should see how many words and numbers are required to be put in that blank. So make sure you see that, because you know if you write more than that, it would not be acceptable. So you read no more than 2 words, the example that I've provided, and after this you will see the slides, would be no more than 2 words and or a number. So we know that the maximum number of words and numbers we can use for this part is only 2. Okay. So what is the next step? What do you think? Like the other one, we read the title. It says advice on exam preparation. Okay, so advice on exam preparation. Alright, so have you got some advice yourself? I mean, what shall I do for preparation of the exam? Obviously you've got some ideas, you know. So yeah, let's see how it started. It says make sure you know the exam requirements. Yeah, rubric, requirements, whatever. And then it says find some past papers. But there is one thing, there is one specific thing about the flowchart, and it is, what is a flowchart? What is a flowchart? What do you think? It's a process. It's a procedure. It's a step-by-step, like a recipe, like food, like the process of production of something or whatever, because it's going to be step-by-step. So you're going to know about some time transition words for the time, because it's going to be first, then, afterwards, next. It's going to be step-by-step. And you should be careful about it, because if you miss one point, you can jump and go to the next one and wait. And then, so we'll do this together afterwards. I will show you how we work. So I'm not going to go through the details now. So I'm telling you some general things. You read it, advice and preparation, exam preparation. It starts with, the first step says, make sure you know the exam requirements. And the next it says, find some past papers. And then it says, work out your what for revision and write them on a card. Work on your what, your notes, your list. What do you think? What do you think? So for this purpose, if you remember for the note completion that we worked on, we're going to work on 3 filters. We're going to apply 3 filters again. What were our filters? Do you remember? Grammatical filters, we've talked about it a lot in previous 2 or 3 sessions ago, we talked about it. So you're going to know what's needed in that blank grammatically. And then lexical or meaning filter. What do you think? Okay, so based on the topic that we read, based on the title, and based on your own previous information about like preparation for an exam, for instance, what do you think? What does it sound, you know, what meaningful words or lexically meaningful words can I put in that blank that completes the sentence? What is it? What do you think? And the last one is a logical filter, which is like both of them work with logic, but what do you think? So develop your logic and say, oh, I think it's going to be this because I'm going to use, I've done it myself, I've got the same experience. So use your logic, and some stereotype cliche ideas that are always working in there, because it's very clear you got to prepare yourself for the exam. So what do you need? You need a list, you need to learn how to do some of those study skills, probably strategies of how to do it. I mean, make a list and take notes, and how to make it easy for yourself. Right, so three filters, we are going to apply them. And there are, as I mentioned earlier, there are going to be some transition words for the flowchart. And these are for the reading as well, so we're going to talk about reading, but there are some similarities between them, because they're both, when you say flowchart, it means a process or a procedure, step by step. So some time clauses or some transition words for the time would be useful, like what? Afterwards. So when you hear afterwards, switching to the next one, even if you haven't heard it, forget it, go to the next one, because the question is moving, and you say, oh, I'm still waiting, they're not going to play a second time for you. So afterwards, then, later on, in the next phase, in the next step, in the next stage, or next, there might be more than this. So be mindful of these transition words of time, because they're going to tell you that, hey, we've moved on to the next part. And then there's another, dangling structure you might also know, like having done something, we are now ready to proceed to the next level. So it means now that we have done it, we would like to go to the next part. I haven't seen this dangling structure being used a lot in listening, but you probably might like to know, and you are going to use it because it's a formal structure to be used. Having done something, it's now time to proceed to the next level, or whatever it is. Okay, so we talked about them, and now we are going to apply them in practice for the example, for the sample of the sample test we have for today through the flowchart, advice and exam preparation, and let's work on it together through the slides. We'll be back. Do one example together. It says no more than 2 words and or a number, and then we read the title, advice on exam preparation, so you might already know about it. And let's look at that. Make sure you know the exam requirements, find some past papers. Look at 27, work out your what, your reviews, your outlines, something. You need a noun, which is, and it should be something like for revision, and write them. So it might be outline, might be reviews. Not reviews wouldn't sound good because it says revision. Number 28 says make a what? Make a list and keep it in view. Probably we need a noun which is countable. And then divide revision into categories or subcategories for each part, for each day. And write, number 30 says write one, what do you think? One example, one scenario, one paragraph about each topic, and so on and so forth. So this is how you apply the filters to have your assumptions. Okay, so the final wrap up for today's session, for today's mini lesson. We worked on, we worked on some general techniques for the gap fill, which was the number of words. So how many words you should check, how many numbers of words are required to be put in that blank. And then we, like all of the types of exams, I told you that we need to read the title, and you need to use your previous information, develop your logic. What do you think you might hear? be ready for the content that you might be you're about to get exposed to. So, and then we talked about applying those 3 filters, the grammar filter, that was the first one. What is it needed to be put there grammatically in the blank? Either you've got a blank or you haven't got the bank of words. It doesn't make any difference. You're going to put some words there. So see what you need there. Do you need a noun or an adjective or an adverb or a number? What do you think? And then for this purpose, you should also be mindful of the lexical filter, which is about the meaning. What meaningful word is going to complete that blank? And after that, we're going to work on logic and the background information that we talked about. That's another filter. What do you think is going to be needed to be put in that blank, logically, lexically, and grammatically? And be ready for this. And then remember, it's a process and it's a procedure. So it's going to be step by step, and you normally see an arrow, like 1, 2, 3, it's going down, bum, 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 it's going down. Okie dokie, and final part is be mindful of transition words that we talked about. Yeah, some transition words of time, which are going to be helpful for you to know. And then once you hear them, yeah, make sure that you just go usually to the next step. So don't get stuck and continue with the stream because it's not going to be paused. Except for those parts which is paused, but normally, and you're going to hear the whole listening just once. Yeah. All right. So, yep, the final wrap up for today's session. Thank you very much for attending today's session. So, I want you to do this. Go and practice or find out Cambridge questions, standard questions. Think about those pre-reading questions. Now you need the skill. So now that you know these strategies, you need to implement them, because skill, you gain the skill by practicing, not by knowing the details, like playing music. It's like all of those practical sticks which are pragmatic, and you need to learn them through practicing. And in fact, your brain's going to make some nerves. I mean, there's going to be a web between some parts. When you practice, and you know, practice makes perfect. So thank you very much. If you find the content useful, please share it with your friends and subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'd be so thankful, and I appreciate your support. And also share it with your friends and the people who would like to develop their proficiency or the IELTS. These techniques are going to help them, and especially these are general techniques. You can apply it for all the, flow charts. You see where everywhere they're the same. So there might be some differences, but generally they are the same. So YouTube channel, don't forget to subscribe it. And my Instagram is IELTS Booster. You can also watch it there and watch half the videos. The full videos would be on YouTube. And thank you very much for sharing. So wait for another session. And now, just think about this. Do you think that you have got another perspective? How do you think about this? Think about it. Do you think the new perspective is going to help you? And how is it going to help you? Do you think that those filters are going to be useful for you? So share your opinions with me if you wish, and I'll be happy to respond if you have any questions. Thank you very much for watching. Stay with me for another session. I'll soon make another video, and I will continue our procedure step by step, of course with a little bit of a slow pace, but we're going to do it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day or evening, or I don't know. Goodbye.